and welcome to Out of the Past. I'm Chuck Langdon with Lee Shepard. Every year, WTOP, radio and TV, has a reunion at Thurmont in Maryland. And the reason it's at Thurmont is because Thurmont is very close to where Camp David is. And the engineers who started this, actually our friend Buddy Belote started it 25 years ago, chose Thurmont for that reason, because so many of those engineers had spent so much time there. And there's a great restaurant called the Cozy Inn where presidents from Eisenhower on have all eaten dinner or lunch and signed their pictures. And it's a very impressive place with very good food. So once a year, all the WTOP retired people and any friends of WTOP get together at Thurmont, look at the wonderful leaves turning in the fall, and have a good time, a luncheon reunion that you and I go to every year too.
Yes.
The last one was a few months ago in October 2011, I'm sorry. And we thought that we might show some of the video that our friend Richard Webb shot. He shoots every year, he comes along, and he's a friend of all of us.
Yes.
He started out as a fan of WTOP's Shock Theater. As a kid, he and his sister, when their parents would go to bed and they figured they were going to sleep, they would sneak downstairs and watch the horror show because their families didn't want them to watch it, so they would turn on the TV and watch the horror show. And he became a big fan of Don Richards, who was the announcer of that show, and he would ham it up and hoke it up. Just something terrible, because it was real late at night, and Don figured that the management wasn't watching anyway. And so he would have various people starring in the show, like he would name me starring in the show as the monster or something. And so it was a lot of fun, and Don sometimes would sign off the station or close it out in a hillbilly accent.
Yes.
Don's a very funny guy, as you know. Richard has been a regular at Nanny's ever since. And he's also an expert cameraman, and he comes along and brings his camcorder and takes pictures. And this year's pictures, I had the idea of maybe the audience would like to see some of the people that were behind the scenes back in the days when people like Don Richards and Jamie Bragg and Roger Mudd and Sam Donaldson were big stars. But these people were very important to television back then, but nobody ever saw them.
That's right, they were the engineers.
Yes.
With some fabulous stories.
Yes. This was Thurmont 2011 Luncheon Reunion.
I'm looking forward to this.
We began gathering in the parking lot, Chuck, as people began arriving.
And there's Jim Silman.
Dave's there and there. Dave's been over these years, but we all...
Whatever needs to happen, this is coming out together. I decided thinking about
Dan Gutenberg and George Catron.
This is the most exciting thing in your life. Annually.
Paul Montebility, there on the left. And Mark Shaw, his wife Marie.
And there's Buddy Belote and Florence.
Buddy started this thing 25 years ago. And finally, somebody from the restaurant came out and herded us inside.
It's awfully good to see all of these chronologically gifted get together again. I'm Ruby Pablo Ronaldo. This is my wife Paula, who invited me to a church dance in the 7th grade. And I just want to thank everyone for coming and keeping this tradition going. I'm kind of a newbie to it. I only started coming about 4 years ago. It's a great thing that everybody does by making the effort to get here, and I'm very thankful for it. And speaking of thankful, I wanted to pass along best wishes from Jack Lapine to everybody. And Buddy Belote, this is the 25th year of this event. Buddy is started. He's also known as the mother of WTOP.
I'm David French. It's an honor to sit at the same table with Buddy Below, who started this 25 years ago, and whose birthday I missed because I was chicken for Irene and didn't dare make the trip. And to Doris, who's carried the torch so beautifully ever since. This has meant a lot to me when I've come. The captain and I walked the halls of WTOP learning management plans. And my happiest years were at Channel 9 with a lot of you people. We did a lot of magic there. We did a lot of fun there. Thank you.
I'm Woody Robertson. I started at TOP with Jim Silman. He hired me for $50 a week. I haven't forgiven him since. I was in the training program. I directed Ranger House, and we know Mark very well. And at those days, we had the network and the TOP, as everybody knows, and we trained places back and forth as far as crew is concerned. But I left TOP, and I was fired by Jim Snyder, I believe, in 69 or 70. And I moved back to Virginia. Two cousins of mine are Statler brothers, Ron and Al Lee. I traveled with them for 3 years with Johnny Cash. And then I formed my own production company in Detroit and operated there for 20 years. We did the Olympics, we did Detroit Lions, and a bunch of stuff. And I sold it in 2005. Thank you for mentioning again. You guys, I'm still working, for God's sake. What's wrong with this picture? I know everybody's thinking, why is this hair gray? Why is Willie and Jim hired me when I was 8 years old. I had to get a letter from my parents to come work. My name's Steve King. I go by the name of Stephen King now because, it gets associated with the author. And my life was a horror story. I'm 68 years old, so when I started at TOP, 23 years young, and I thought Jim Silman was going to look at me and say, you know what? We're going to make Joel Barber a floor director, and we're going to make you the anchorman.
I'm Mark Graves and my wife Penny. We came down a good number of years ago and joined a group from WTOP, and we worked and built the CBS News studio down on M Street. Worked there for 20 years and retired there. But in those 20 years, and many of them this past few years, I was invited and came up to this group. It really, talking with some field folks here and so forth, that it really became a family, and it's one of the best that I have ever seen, and really enjoy seeing the group here each year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Paul Montegovi. I started as a trainee, thanks to Mr. Silman here, who hired some of the greats. I was there from 1967 till I retired in 2005, when I was the senior engineering supervisor for the engineering department. And it was a great run. Thank you, Mr. Silman.
I'm Henry Taylor, and my first connection with Channel 9 was being a child guest on the Pick Temple show. Here we're asking, some people may remember. I was a TV MC technician in 73 and 74, and left and then spent 25 years at PBS, thinking I was escaping from all of you people. I got to work for Jim Hargraves and Jack Lapine, and ran into Ralph Malaska and Bill Jones and a lot of names that you all will remember. So it's a great family, and I really appreciate my memories of being there.
And you're living in New Mexico now,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Thank you, Dave.
was a news photographer for about 35 years, covering just about every dead body that ever in Washington and every fire. Anyway, my career was punctuated with mayhem and madness and sometimes incidents like that. And I work with the best people in the world.
Well, you got that right. No, I mean, we all do.
Thank you very much.
I'm Dave Van, almost everybody here knows me. When I got out of service, I made the decision to sign up in CRAI. I graduated from CRAI in '48, got my first job at WTOP, $1 an hour, glad to get the job. 6 months later, I finished on a Friday and went over to Channel 9, originally WOIC, Bamboo Broadcasting Corporation. I'm Gene Neal. This is my wife of 64 years, Frances. I started at WOIC in December of 1948, about a month before we went on the air. Back in those days, we did everything from washing the remote truck to eventually doing a tour of the White House with Jackie Kennedy for CBS. And it's been, I was up there for 3 years. And I worked with a great bunch of people. And I loved every minute of it. Especially the first 10, 15, or 20 years.
I'm old Frank. I haven't had this many laughs in a long, long time. And I understand that you're healthy if you at least you laugh 12 times a day. But I think I've reached my quota of meetings. But I went to work with WTOP in October 1948. And one of the things that I was introduced to people, usually the bosses, and anyhow I'm introduced to this supervisor by the name of Ron Berry, if you all remember him. Well, he was there with, dress code is just everything. He's there with his wool sweater with great big holes, and he said, this is the supervisor? This is the supervisor. He said, I'd like to see the president of the company.
This is very interesting because when I came in, I thought this was the Walmart luncheon. It was good anyway, But yeah, I'm Franklin Torp, and I was with CBS Washington for 41 years. And they finally got wise to me. And I retired. Thank you very much for letting me come. Thanks.
Jim Sullivan. This is one of the greatest Liars Clubs I think I've ever been in. You haven't changed a bit. We haven't. We were a great bunch then, and we're still a great bunch. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Well, that was really wonderful. I enjoyed that. I guess Will Robertson was there.
Yes, he came all the way from Detroit, Michigan. He's still in Detroit to be with us, but he also, I think, has a project going here in D.C. Remember, we did a show with Woody, which was a satellite-type presentation. He from Detroit, and we talked to him here from the studio. Well, unfortunately, he couldn't be in the studio. He's in town, but we couldn't get him all the way to the studio. However, he's at Steve King's, friend Steve King's studio in Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland, and so we're going to try to do another satellite from a little bit closer to Detroit this time. So if we can get our stream, our 10K stream pulled tight enough on this end, and if Steve King can get it pulled tight enough on that end, we'll have to hopefully see Billy Robertson
appearing shortly. Willie, Steve, are you guys connected or reconnected? Hey, Willie?
Woody, last time we talked to you, you were in Detroit, but you're a lot closer now, aren't you?
Yeah, here in D.C.
All right, picture's coming in pretty good.
We're here in Fairmont. You mentioned that you might be working in the Washington area again. Well, what are you going to be doing here?
Yeah, I started a new project with Tammy Gagnon, who I met about 4 or 5 months ago.
Willie, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you can get Steve to pull the camera back, we'll be able to see Tammy. All right. Okay, that looks good. Thank you. Tammy, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how are you?
I read your book, and it is, as they say, one that you can't put down. But it is full of some amazing and not so pleasant facts, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is a very soon Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so I think it's appropriate that we're doing this month.
And so what is your project going to be with Tammy?
Well, as you know, the Michigan state basically invited a lot of movie companies in 2 years ago. And I switched over from television to doing some movie work. And I started with Clint Eastwood and his film. And then the movie industry is kind of dying in Michigan. And I met Tammy, and we decided to take her book, her true story, and turn it into a movie for television, basically.